you guys. Hello, everyone, and welcome. And I'm Jenna Blackard,
And I'm Leonka Reyna.
and this is the Hot Hustle Show. And today we're talking to Dr. Marie Mbouni, and she is going to enlighten us on plant medicine. I had stumbled across Marie back in 2019 for an interview, and we never ever had a chance to actually get hooked up together. And then after that, I got hooked up in working with her in with digital marketing, get like a totally different topic. And then we realized that, wow, she would be the perfect guest for this show. And I know very, very little about plant medicine. I've been a little afraid of ayahuasca. I think that's how you pronounce it. I've heard stories and I just don't know that I'm like want to go there. I can go so far out in meditation already that sometimes doing something else is a little uh chaotic for me to even bring into my realm. But I think that I have heard stories about people even microdosing mushrooms and it cured anxiety, like completely cured it. So I am excited about this conversation. Marie, I know you have a background as a doctor, and that career then led you into this. And I know you also have personal abandonment issues that led you to this. Can you kind of just give us the little glimmer of what brought you to this point?
You don't ask for little, do you?
I want it all.
Here is a little glimmer. So I'm Dr. Marie Mbouni, and really honored to be here with both of you. And so my initial background is allopathic Western medicine as an anesthesiologist. And I did that for 18 years. And my full background is that since I was a child, I had always been, um, you know, present with spiritual gifts. Like I would almost say, like I was a born channel. Um, I could see, hear, feel things that other people could not. And however, whenever I shared, because I could even read people's mind, and if, let's say, somebody was not telling the truth, I would be like, oh, that's not true. And I would be like, shh, shut up, the elders are talking, what do you know? And so I made it mean that it was something bad, or it was not good, or it was something to hide, right? And then when I went to school, I realized that all other kids were not the same. And up until then, I had developed that belief that in order to belong, I had to be exactly like everybody else. I didn't want to be the weird one or the odd one. And so I hid it even more, completely pushed it down, went, science, biology, math, medical school, what you can prove and touch and is tangible. And as I was working, I started realizing that, I was really cutting off and hiding a big, huge part of myself. And that was the spiritual part, the energetic part of me. And, I always loved meditation. I'm a great meditator. But I was really very careful that no one would know that part of me, because I thought, as a doctor, people would be like, oh my gosh, she's lost it, she's cuckoo. And I was afraid of judgment. And all this worked well. I was hiding really well until 2012. I don't know if people remember or how old people are here. However, 2012 was all about the Mayan calendar ending and
Yeah.
the world is going to end. But what happened for me was that in 2012, all my gifts came online quite abruptly. And I wasn't even aware until I was at an event, Awesomeness Fest, and it was a consciousness event with, and then during that event there was a pool party, and I was at the pool party just walking and having fun, and then all of a sudden there was a couple coming in front of me, and the guy's ancestors came through me,
Mm.
and they were like, you need to tell
Oh
this
gosh.
person, what, like there was a whole message I had to tell this person. And I kid you not, I didn't know the guy, never met him, and here I am, it's a pool party, full on, and this is happening. And I had no choice but to go to this person, and I was like, I'm so sorry, I don't know you, but I have this message. And I think because it was kind of like a consciousness type of party, like
Yeah.
people were kind of conscious. So the guy was like, yeah, sure. But, with an air of like, I don't know what's going on here. But then when I gave him the message and it was so precise and the names and the things, the guy broke down in tears and, thanked me. It was like a whole thing. But for me, it was like, this is not okay. I gotta get a handle on this because, this was fine because, it was a pool party. People were kind of, but what if, this happens in a place where, I can't do this? And that's when, so I started my study because I wanted to get a handle on these things and wanted to like push it down and control it. It wasn't like, oh, now I'm gonna. And so, I started studying and, I went and sat and really asked for guidance. I was like, what do I need to do? And I was guided to my first teacher, my first shamanic teacher. And I remember there were prerequisites to get into the program, and I just called them and I was like, can I join your program? They're like, but you're a doctor, and and you haven't done this and you haven't done that. And I was like, listen, I received the guidance to come here, and boom, it was like I got in the school, in the program. So fast forward, I learned different techniques, shamanic energy, consciousness, sound healing, you name it, yoga. I've even got certified in yoga. And as I fasted forward, I realized that all this studying was still resistance.
Mm.
It was like, oh, maybe if I learn a little more, maybe if I do another certification, maybe if I do this, then I will really be able to. And I really had that awareness, and that's where the call to this work was getting louder and louder and louder. Um, and my own self-awareness, like, wow, I thought I was getting better, but I was even hiding in a very sexy way. Oh wait, but I'm still in training.
Uh-huh.
And so, and as you know, when the universe, the divine source wants, you to
Well,
work.
I might have to go along with you guys for dinner just
Just
so
a
I can stop the
second.
job.
We've got
If you want.
somebody that is okay, there we go. Sorry about
Yeah. So what happened is I got hit by a 2x4 at my job. There was a
I've had one of
situation.
those.
Yeah, so like boom, I was even like there was a threat, not a threat. I don't know how to call it, but it was like, you're gonna be fired.
Mm.
And at that moment, I was like, wow, I've been giving my all to this job, this hospital, and I'm just a cog in a wheel. Like they don't even care. And at that moment, it's like something in me just let go. Like this hanging on, this, like, it was just like, I'm done. And when I felt like I'm done, I came out in my hospital, came out as spiritual. And like I started bringing crystals in my operating room and essential oils, and I was full
Right?
on. But guess what? I realized that people already knew
Yeah.
that there
Innately.
was something different. The nurses were like, "Oh, we've been calling you the verbal Xanax behind your back." And
How
I
fun.
remember the director of surgery had his wife needed an operation, and he called me. He was like, "I want you to be the anesthesiologist for my wife." And these were his words. "I don't know what you do in your rooms, but people don't die and they wake up fine. And so, I want you to be
Wow.
the
Wow.
anesthesiologist."
Mm.
When I went to take care of her, I asked her, because at that point I wasn't even putting people to sleep by counting backwards, from 1 to 10. I was just like, "Would you like to go on a mini journey? Do you want a meditation to fall asleep?" Everybody said yes.
Yeah.
Nobody ever said no.
Mm.
And I asked the same thing to the director's wife, and she was like, "Yes, yes, yes." And she did fine. It was a very dangerous surgery. And I used like shamanic energetic techniques on her. And when she was done, she wrote a letter to the director of the hospital.
Oh, I got chills.
Mm.
She was like, "This doctor did some metaphysical things on me and it worked really well." And like a letter of recognition and gratitude. And
Mm.
so all this fear I had up until then about, oh, what if people know? It was just
Yeah.
like
Hiding.
the last barrier just went away.
Wow.
But
Fun.
yeah, from that point, I continued to get these messages, and the last was like, "You need to get out of here. You are here to work on many people, not only one person." And that's when I said yes. After that 2x4 and situations. So yeah.
Wow. Well, and one of the things that you mentioned that kind of threw me for a little tumble was shamanic healing and energy healing are very different. And I was like, oh, let's talk about that because I hadn't really ever separated the two. And now I want to know what the difference is.
Hmm. Yes, it's both are techniques that use energy, but shamanic healing. If you want to compare that to energy healing, it's a little bit like energy healing uses like a laser beam to work on something, and shamanic healing works like a scalpel where you actually go and like get it out, right? That's like a graphic um, representation of both. Um, shamanic consciousness, like there's such a thing as shamanic consciousness. Energy healing actually uses different frequencies, right? It's more like energetic frequencies. Shamanic healing goes in different realms of consciousness: the underworld, the upper world, the middle world. It goes in nature, works with nature, right?
Yeah.
So, although both are very energy based, they just work at different levels of consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Okay, let's dive in.
Yeah.
Okay, so I know that you do these retreats with psychedelics and things like that. Tell, for those of us that haven't done gone down that path yet, why don't you start and tell us like what really can happen, especially in healing trauma when it comes to this type
Mhm.
work?
Yes.
Yeah, I just
So,
had
For some reason, she just keeps unmuting. I don't know why.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I don't think it's for us though.
We are not going to be interrupted. So, the thing about trauma is that it's so different for everyone, right? We
Mm,
have big T traumas, like the things where everybody knows, like it happened, and small T traumas that are less obvious, right? Where it could be something like neglect or abandonment, like we talked about, or things where, injustice, um, separation, that are less obvious, where it doesn't even look like you were hurt. And so we go around with these wounds. I call them wounds of the soul, right? When it comes to trauma. And then we go around with these wounds, and what happens is our behaviors change. We develop patterns, limitations, limiting beliefs. And there are a few ways that people typically behave. It's either fight, flight, freeze, fawn, where we start to people please, the people who are our perpetrators, but we don't realize it, right? These are mechanisms that we develop in order to survive.
mm,
And so, as you both know, the subconscious, the brain, the mind is something that is not easy to access and change. We all know that. And so, what happens with plant medicines is that when we consume them, when we sit with them, because they are intelligent, we call them plant spirit teachers. What happens is they work at the level of the brain, of the mind. They first of all disrupt the default mode network, right? This default mode network in the brain is how we always do the same things, the patterns, the limitations. They work on specific receptors that, can help us access, number one, access what happened, right? I've had so many people who come to my retreats, and then they sit with the plant medicine, with ayahuasca, and then they're like, oh my gosh, I was abused when I was 3 years old and I didn't even know,
mm,
right? We don't know. And sometimes, even when we know, we block it because it's too painful,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so it can help you access events However, it's really intelligence. They are intelligent. They only help you access that when you are ready, right? When you are psychologically, emotionally, energetically ready to be able to face those deep pain or anger or grief or sadness or even shame, right?
Yeah.
And you know, many people, like I remember that one of the things that always really made me have a lot of pain for humanity, for our population, is that there is not one day in my 18 years as an anesthesiologist, I did not see someone in some type of medication against, anxiety,
Mhm.
depression. Not one, every day.
Yeah.
People
It's
are on something. Like more than 50% of our population is going around with some type of wound of the soul, wound of the heart. And, they are prescribed antidepressants. And for those who know SSRIs, they work on serotonin 1 receptors. And what they do is they just give us passive coping, which is okay, right? It is totally okay. But plant medicines work on serotonin 2A receptors. And these are the source of active coping. And what is active coping? Active coping is a combination of flexibility and plasticity, where things start to mold, and that is the opportunity for transformation. You know, I've had, people that I know who have been in, in therapy for 10 years and they still can say, I'm angry at my mother, right? And therapy is great, however, it's just like really when you want to go deep.
mm-hmm.
And when the default mode network is disrupted, what happens is that your ego, that part of you that's attached to survival, becomes less stable, and it starts to become more open to information and repressed memories, right? And that gives us the opportunity to revise our beliefs and our perspectives. And also, it's an opportunity. What happens is the barriers between ourselves and the external world or other realm start to become more blurred. And so it's actually very empowering because we can rewrite our stories.
Mm-hmm.
It's powerful.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
powerful.
Yeah.
So powerful. Um, well, I'd like to take some questions from the callers. And before I do, Marie, you work with several different plant medicines, or can you talk a little bit about that? Like what specific, and maybe even share like some of the outcomes that happen to people after they've been through an experience with a plant medicine.
Hmm. So I work with ayahuasca, I work with psilocybin, which is mushrooms, and iboga very rarely, but I was initiated into iboga at the age of 14. So plant medicines call you,
Oh God.
right? You don't decide that I'm going to specialize in this. They choose you. They are like the um,
Yeah.
Yeah, we get
initiators.
Yeah, I
that.
get it. Just
Yeah.
that
And
is
then um, so mushrooms, they told me that they open portals. They
Mhm.
are the little grandfathers. I love them so much. And they were the first plant medicine I sat with, um, and I had so much healing in a, I want to say, in a gentle, grandfatherly type of,
Mm.
uh, in a, yeah, that way. However, I didn't really at the time uh, access the deepest roots of my trauma. I didn't even know that I
Mhm.
had any wounds of the soul as well. I just thought, on the outside, I looked amazing, successful, right? Not that you cannot be successful if you have wounds, but then you are not whole. Because for me, healing is about coming into wholeness. And then I sat with grandmother ayahuasca,
Mm.
and
I didn't know that.
that's when I really, whew, I have had so much healing with grandmother ayahuasca. That's when I was really able to go from me, even healing my lineage, healing my ancestors, healing humanity. It's like in some journeys, it would be like in this journey, we are just going to go and work, on what's happening in the world, like child prostitution, or, and then spiritually, I would be guided to those places and just bring healing. Um, and so it wasn't just me.
Mhm.
And she's the one that really helped me heal my deepest wound. Um, my wound of abandonment is about my mother. And I remember one of my journeys. I was there and I was working on that. And then she was like, "Child, I have been your mother all along." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And then she showed me my life at very specific points. Like, remember the choice you made here? Remember when you went this? Remember, she was like, "I was with you all along." Like, I was a child. I didn't know ayahuasca. I didn't even, I had never heard anything about that.
Yeah.
Like, every point of my life.
Mhm.
And the way that it heals you is in a way that you can understand, in the way that you can grasp.
Mm-hmm.
It's really about repair. It's not about, oh, I had this thing, so now I'm gonna go home and fight with this person, and because it's about harmony.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mhm.
about coming back into wholeness. Um, the iboga, when I was initiated, it was because my mother was she had cancer, and I'm from Cameroon originally, in Africa, and iboga grows there. It only grows in two countries in the whole world, Cameroon and Gabon. So yeah, iboga is another plant medicine. And so when I was 14, my mom got cancer, and she was told that she needed to have surgery, chemo, radiation, the whole thing. And she didn't want to do that. And so she went to sit with Iboga to cure her cancer. But what happened was that she couldn't hear what Iboga was telling her. She couldn't see well, and she tried a few times. And then Iboga told her that she needed to bring me because I would be the one, who could really understand it. And
Oh.
so that's when Iboga chose me.
Wow.
Yeah, so I didn't sit with Iboga to like heal anything or elevate my consciousness. It was really because, my mother was in bad shape,
Mhm.
and Iboga is like super super powerful. I remember the first time I sat with Iboga, the first person I saw when the medicine came on was my brother, and my brother had passed away before I was born.
Right.
So I had never seen him like
Wow. Yeah.
here.
I can.
Yeah, but he's the one who came to, like, I went straight to the other world, and he came to welcome me.
How
And
That
and
he's
I,
really one of your guides or
yeah,
supports for you.
yeah,
That's great.
yeah.
Neat.
And so, like, of course, I was completely
Yeah.
uh yeah. So anyway, yeah, and Iboga was like, you're going to go here, you're going to take the bark of this tree, it has to be boiled this way, and she has to take 5 cups. Like, it was so precise, like all the things that I needed to do. Because Iboga, I haven't talked about this, but every plant medicine kind of shows up in different ways when you are inward in this journey. Iboga is like up in your face, straight answers. It's like a black and white TV with, so it was really like directives, like number one, number two, number three. You're gonna go there. You're gonna turn right, and these herbs have to be mixed with this.
Uh-huh.
And I could remember all of that.
Wow.
And she actually did, in fact, heal.
Wow.
Yeah. And ayahuasca and psilocybin, like when they come on, there's a lot of fractals
Sure.
and sacred geometry, different realm. Like, many really have the experience of interconnectedness of the universe, of meeting source. Some
Mm.
people call it God, Allah, Buddha, the one that is supreme being.
Mm-hmm.
um, I have been shown the creation of the world. It's insane, it's mind
Yeah,
blowing.
it is cool.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It makes me want to do it now. You can do it with me.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with meditation, because meditation is like you reach specific uh brain waves, right? And
Mhm.
yes, I go far, like, I go to the cosmos, to the stars, to, but there's a it's like, with plant medicine, there's this immersive, direct revelation, direct experience where you are one with what's happening.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't even know how I can explain that. It's like
Oh,
Yeah.
you are
Well,
the
we've had
star.
experiences that we are lacking words for.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like ineffable.
Yeah. Well, let's take some
questions,
callers.
yeah.
Yeah, some questions. We've got a lot on the chat. One person asks, Andrew, will you work with people that are on medicine currently trying to get off?
Oh, that's a good question.
Hmm. Yes, so it depends on the type of medicine.
Mm.
If you are on certain things like SSRIs or mood stabilizing medicines like lithium, it actually is better to taper those medicines. Why? Because they work on the same receptors. I was telling you a little bit earlier, and also they can create, they have contraindications, they can create reactions that are not so safe for the client. And if you are on medication, it means that you might have a doctor, a therapist. So I'm advising anyone who is thinking about this to discuss with your medical provider before you just go cold turkey, and because that is not safe either, right? So, yeah, you want to work with your provider to taper those medicines so that you can sit with the plant medicines in a safe way.
Yeah. This isn't, I don't know a question, but I think you've got a comment to it. Christine asked if trauma comes up when one is ready, how how come it's many times comes up when you're already worn out, burnout, and exhausted?
Hmm. Okay, let me see if I understand. So, um, so I'm gonna say this, overwhelm, burnout, exhaustion, procrastination, low self-worth, all those actually come from trauma, right? They are like signs of limiting beliefs, right? And so they actually come from trauma. That's why you are like that. And experiencing those states, those mindset can actually be the thing that make you say, enough, I'm going to take care of this. It's the thing that might make you say, you know what, I'm already dying here, so what's the point of ignoring, avoiding, putting my head in the sand? I'm going to dive in, right? That
Mhm.
might be the thing, because when you kind of coasting, right, you don't want to do anything. It's like, oh, I'm fine, I'm fine. How many times have you heard this? I'm fine, right? But then when it's like, no, you are not fine, honey, you are not fine, child,
Yeah.
then, that will give you the courage. Because, working with our wounds, right, is intense. It requires a lot of courage, because, it's like the fear of re-experiencing the
Mm.
things that happened to us that put us in that state in the first place, right? So, but I really want you to know that it's only when you are ready that you can really do this. Because the reason we forget is because most times, all the time with trauma, there's dissociation that happens, right? Our souls leave our bodies. We are not embodied.
Mhm.
And, we forget, we even develop different personas or personalities, or like there's a lot that happens in the brain, and all that is to protect you. It's a little bit like, you have a scaffolding on the thing, right? And then, overwhelm is like one scaffolding, and you you can start, like, your brain, your mind, as you get ready, all these scaffoldings or branches that are holding the thing together, or you think together. It's only when you can hold yourself straight that they can then fall.
Mhm.
Because if you can't, if you're not ready to hold yourself, what happens is, if you try to forcefully, take away this scaffolding, you tumble,
Mhm.
right? And so, even as you work with your traumas, you always want to be gentle, have compassion. It's I call it a journey, right? It's like a journey. It's not a, I want to get rid of it, because that in itself is another way that, we then reject ourselves,
Mhm.
right? We, um, we shush ourselves, we judge ourselves, you know. And so, yeah,
Yeah.
when you're ready, you'll be able to either find the healer or find the medicine. And it can be something as simple as you even acknowledging that, yes, this happened to me. Because the first thing is, we block everything. It didn't happen. I don't remember. I didn't see it. I wasn't there.
Mhm.
Right? Yeah.
Acknowledgement on its own right is a huge tool.
Great.
Oh my gosh.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was that?
Because I usually say that it starts with self-awareness, but the second step is acceptance.
Mhm.
You cannot heal if you do not accept. that something happened to you. It's like, well, if it didn't happen, what are you trying to heal? You
Right?
know what I mean?
Totally. All right, well, we've got a question from Christina. I'm going to ask you to unmute and you can go ahead and ask your question of Marie.
Hi, Marie. Thank you very much for taking my call. No, just about the traumas. Thank you for that reply. That was really great. And I have several traumas, and I believe that I've gone through them all, and I worked through them, and I'm very proud of myself. But there's one that's still like on my mind, and I can't really totally leave. I can't really let it go fully, and I don't really know. Why is that still lingering on there? Why can I not let it go fully? Is it because, as you say, I didn't accept that it is happened, or why? Why is that?
Okay, so when we have traumas, especially early traumas, they live with us for a long time. And, we have parts of us that are actually handling this trauma, right? And so this part of you that is handling this trauma thinks that it's protecting you. Okay. And so I said it before, I'm going to say it again. Healing trauma is not getting rid of.
No, I know.
Yeah. And so when you have a part of you that was disassociated, that left, like, we need to ask permission. You need to ask permission from that part of you. You need to meet that part of you and ask permission to come home, if they are ready, right? And the other reason that you might not be able to let go of it yet is it might be something that even at this point would completely hurt you. And so because
Yes, it did hurt me.
yes, it could completely destroy you, and like something that you couldn't even imagine, right?
Yes, correct.
And so healing is not trauma. For me, it's not about knowing exactly blow by blow what happened to you.
Yeah.
For me, it's about really like finding the ways that we can let go.
Yeah, exactly. I totally agree.
Yeah. And so, like, really, if you can, if you hear, chances are you a meditator, or you have,
Yeah, I am.
like,
Yeah.
so start to ask to meet the unmet self, the
The what?
abandoned
Sorry?
self.
Abundance. Okay.
Unmet, like, yeah, the unmet self,
Okay. Yeah.
the abandoned self, the rejected self, the shunned self. So you start to ask to meet them in meditation, and they will show up. And
Okay.
then you will ask them, you will let them know that when they are ready, you are here to welcome them home on their terms, not your terms, right? But
So
you
who
will.
am I asking to meet? Sorry, is that the part of me that was hurt, or the little child, or
I
what?
just told you, the
Yeah. Sorry.
abandoned self,
The
whoever,
abandoned self. Yeah. Yeah.
the
Okay.
unmet
Sorry.
self,
Okay.
right? So whoever they are,
Yeah. Okay.
they can be the you last year,
Okay.
right? Like, it
Yeah.
doesn't
Yeah.
have to be a child, because
No. 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 I didn't mean. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. No, I get it.
Understood.
I get it. So it's a way of, the reason I say it like this is, like, it's a way of opening the field of possibility, so that whomsoever in you, in your soul, was abandoned has a chance to come back home. Instead of
Okay.
us saying, oh, I was a child. Well, maybe it was when you were 30 and
Exactly.
something happened, right? You don't know.
Yeah.
So we don't want to limit the possibilities, right? So yeah.
Yeah, thank you. That was
Yeah,
very
they'll
kind.
show up. They'll show up.
Thank
And
you.
there's a whole practice in shamanism called soul retrieval, where we are able to retrieve the lost parts of the soul. That really helps with this.
Someone had, Marie, a question on the chat that I thought was really interesting. It says, have you ever treated someone with plant-based medicine, who responds opposite to traditional medicine? They go on to write, Hannah writes, I tend to respond opposite to traditional medicines, such as supplements make her sleepy and depressants keep her awake. She's interested in the benefits of plant medicine, but just wants to make sure she's the right candidate.
So she's saying that she reacts differently to the traditional medicines,
Like how the
as in if she's supposed to be awake, she's asleep, and like things like that.
I have that a little bit too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that is not a contraindication. To me, it's an opportunity to become really curious,
Okay.
right? Because when you are able to approach anything with curiosity, you're able to release attachment. A lot of people who, like in plant medicine, for example, they like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do that, and they have the whole journey planned in their minds, and boom, it's like you might sleep the whole time because the plant medicine
Control freak.
gives
Well,
you.
trauma could be control freaky. Like
Exactly.
I'm a control freak, so maybe I should do it just to like clear out my controller.
And your controller like has a role in your life, right? And like I have a whole thing that I do with controller, the inner critic, where I take people in shamanic journeys where we start to have agreements, and because they're all here to help us. Like I love the mind, I love the brain, I love all this protection, right? However, what I postulate is how can we live a life of harmony with those parts of ourselves, right? The critic, the control, like that's what it is about. It's not about annihilating them or kicking them to the curb, because they've been protecting us all this time, right? So when it comes to plant medicine, getting curious, and in the plant medicine will, they probably will be able to show you, like, this is why you react this way, this is why, because when we have traumas, like there's a degree of hypervigilance, right?
Always.
We don't want to lose control, and most of the times when we don't know exactly what's going to happen, all our defenses come up, like, I don't want to lose control. What's going to happen? Who, maybe something will happen to me, right? All that fear, that subconscious doubt starts to come online. And that's, where things can be different from what you expected. But yeah, it's not a contraindication. It's an opportunity to explore. I love exploration. I love potential. I love possibilities. And there's nothing to lose, because even if you don't have any visions, even if you are awake, because being, in altered states of consciousness, like I say, it's not about getting, blown up into the stratosphere. It's about being here. It's about being present, right? Because the one thing that happens in meditation is like we take off. Like the minute you close your eyes, off you go. And you're not even present. But with plant medicine, it's like you are here doing the work, deep
Yeah,
work,
I get
right?
that. The more you talk about it, the more I really get
I
that that
know.
is the
Yeah.
there
And,
is
and so no matter how you react, it's really about, what is the way that the plant medicine will help me in the way that I am? Because no two journeys are the same when it comes to two people or ourselves. I've never had the same journey for years. Never, never.
Because it always reveals what you need at that time.
Yes, it gives you what you need. I'm gonna really be vulnerable here. So I had a journey where it was with grandmother ayahuasca, and she was working on my brain. She was reformatting my brain, and it was like bzz, bzz, bzz. Like it was kind of like that, right? And I wanted to pee, and I wanted to pee. So I was like, grandmother, I want to pee, and she was like, sit, I'm working,
Oh no.
right? Like she was like, sit, I'm working. That I was like, okay. But then it was like I couldn't, I'm like, I can't hold it, I can't hold it. And then like I literally like peed my pants, right? Not a lot, but just kind of
Right,
like
right.
it
Yeah,
happened.
like I'm telling you, I gotta go.
and then and then when I peed my pants, she was like, okay, now you can go. And I was wearing
That's funny.
and I was wearing a dress. No, it wasn't funny because
Oh
I was
no.
wearing a dress where, like, when I stood up, people would be like, wait, like, what's going
Yeah,
on? Like,
yeah.
did she right? And
Mhm.
so, and then I came back from the restroom, and in shamanism, everything is medicine. Joy is medicine, pain in medicine. Medicine means we can always get healing, wisdom, teachings,
I like
right?
that. Yes.
So I asked grandmother, like, why did you make me pee my pants? She's like, it's about shame. And I was like, shame? What do you mean? I don't think I have. Oh my gosh, I shouldn't have done that.
Oh
Because I was like, I knew that, I had some anger that I had worked with and sad, but I was like, shame, I don't really think that I have so much shame. And first of all, she was like, I made you pee your pants because shame is really hidden. Like, if I hadn't done this, nobody would have been able to see that it happened,
uh-huh.
right?
Right.
Because a lot of the stuff that happened in trauma happens in silence. Nobody knows. Or even when people know, they say it's silent. They don't talk about it. They don't share about it. And then she showed me my life. She, like, when I was a kid, my parents were divorced, which is when my mom left. And she was like, she showed me a scene where there were kids, I was with them, and they were talking about their mommy and their daddies. And I didn't say anything. I didn't say anything because I didn't want them to think that I don't have a mommy and a daddy. And ayahuasca was like, what's that?
Interesting.
It's shame of
Yes.
being different. And so she just showed me like all the
Armor.
spaces and places where I was carrying this shame unconsciously. I didn't know.
Right.
Mhm.
And so she was like, today we are going to heal shame. Whoa. And then after me, it was like my feminine lineage. And then it was like the women of, like, on earth. Like, I was sitting in a pile of shame, like taller than a mountain by the time I was just like surrendered and like, I, yeah, like this is the shame of the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it started with making me pee my pants. So you actually never know where she's gonna go, right? Like you never know.
Yeah. Well, and I guess embarrassment is also in there,
Of
right?
course.
Like there's so much with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Layers.
Yeah.
Layers.
Layers.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That's
That could also
fascinating.
go back to childhood stuff, where
Yeah.
you actually were learning and potty training and all that stuff. Wow, that's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, what I'm trying to say here is that, although like at that time there was a little, like people couldn't really tell, it was just a little, right? It wasn't like a,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but it was to bring awareness
Yeah.
that you don't even know you're carrying all this.
Mhm.
And then the feminine, and it was like, yeah, and we started doing that work, right? So you never know.
Pretty
Wow,
cool.
that is so cool.
Like the plant medicine use everything.
Yes.
So you might be like, oh, I didn't sleep. Yes, but maybe, something else was happening. And that's where all of a sudden you can unlock, right, your message, your healing, your transformation from that experience.
Yeah. Well, I want to take another caller. We've got Stephanie who's been patiently waiting up here. All right, Stephanie, you're up. Unmute yourself. There you go.
Hi.
Hello. I love
Hey.
your mountains.
Oh, thank you. They're really close to me, and I'm fortunate enough to live in the mountains, so it's beautiful. Um, I have a question. Uh, about 7 years ago, I had a DMT experience. I had tried it, and it was just so precious. I learned so much in such a little time. And since then, I've felt really called to work with psilocybin to understand more about my ADHD.
Mhm.
And I was wondering if what you thought as far as the effectiveness of that. And
Mhm.
does ADHD usually manifest from like a one of those core soul wounds, or is it more of a stress response and to our environment?
It's all of that.
It is. Okay.
Yeah, as you know, right? You actually kind of know, um, where your ADHD might be coming from.
Yeah.
Yeah, so and like I said here, I'm not really interested in knowing exactly why, because why kind of rhymes with wine, right? Not that you're whining, but like why questions to me are not really powerful. It's like what,
Always take you
how,
so far. Yeah.
those types of questions that you are already asking yourself, Stephanie, which is, you already took action, you sat with DMT and you want to go forward. This plant medicine can really help us, right? Um,
Right.
and they can help you, like it could be microdosing is what has been, and it's still being studied, even by the government, the veterans, ADHD, traumatic brain injuries, CPTSD, PTSD, these things are being studied. And so what I would say here is that, really hone in your quest, in your willingness to bring healing to yourself, right? Not retaliation, um, not, mm, yeah, that's how I'm gonna say that. And in your willingness to be open to possibilities, plant medicines really do help a lot. And And the other thing is that for now, what I would like to recommend is, to start to connect to those parts of you that behave that way, right? Those part of you that um, felt like ADHD was the way to deal with whatever happened, and really starting to know those parts of you, starting to accept them, because sometimes, not sometimes, most of the times when we have a diagnosis, we want to reject it, or we react in a way, we are ashamed, embarrassed. It's like, I'm a grown person. How can I have ADHD now? Do I, right? Like all these questions, they are totally normal. But, welcoming that part of you and really being like, I see you, I hear you, I feel you, I feel your pain, I feel your sadness, I feel your anger, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That is so beautiful. I love that.
Mm, thank
I'm
you.
so ready.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
Oh, that's
Awesome.
why we're doing this here. Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thank you for your time, Marie.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. You're definitely.
All right, Marie, gosh, this has gone so fast. But you put together a really cool package for us. Oh, I didn't even get to spirit animal stuff. But I did want to share it with the audience, and I would like you to go through it with them and tell them what you're really going to learn. And I think we should also probably talk a little bit about how to have a live experience with you, right?
Mm.
I mean, you do that, right? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, but let's start with so what I prepared for the audience is a multidimensional lineage and generational trauma series.
Mm,
And the way that I did this is I really sat in meditation asking what would be of benefit to the audience. Like, what is it that would benefit everyone that came here today to uh, sit with us.
mhm,
And I shared my own experience of healing where it went from not even aware that I had any trauma to realizing that, wow, there's so much here, right?
mhm,
And so the first item is multidimensional generational trauma healing journey. It's a shamanic journey that is coupled with consciousness attunement with 7 hertz theta brain waves, right? It's an audio journey. And because when we embark on this journey, we need support of our brain, of our consciousness, so that we may be able to go deep. And it's it's really about reclaiming
Mm-hmm.
mhm,
yourself, empowering yourself. And also, what people don't know is that we receive trauma from our ancestors, from our lineage, right? And it's been proven through the science of epigenetics
Uh-huh.
that we carry that trauma. So one of the reasons people also don't know they have trauma is because they don't recognize the experience. It's like, wait, this never happened to me, right? But it could have happened to your grandmother, your great grandmother, your mother, right? And so as you do this journey, you're going to start to heal yourself and the generations that are behind you. And also a part of the journey is to heal the generations in front of you that haven't even come yet. So this is a powerful journey that I recommend everyone to take many, many, many times, because you can't heal everything in one journey. I mean, it's just like, right? So the journey part is like about 30 minutes, and then you have 30 minutes.
Hold on, Marie. We have some noise on the
We had
line.
some
Oh,
feedback. I think it's.
oh, I don't know.
Oh my goodness, it's a leaf blower.
Oh, is
Ah!
that your place? Okay.
Well, I will make a
Well, since it's
comment. I'll make a comment real quick. I didn't when I got sober about 3.5 years ago. My mother also has been sober for 10 years. And I didn't know at the time, but it was about a year into my sobriety. And sobriety, some people don't know, is really the journey of a spiritual awakening. And as a result of having the spiritual awakening, thus you also are sober. And so one of the words I heard before I even knew, Marie, about lineage and all of this stuff, I heard the words, "You have healed your family." And I thought at the time, I thought that, well, maybe that's my son. I keep him from having to grow up with a mom who was drinking at the time, and I wasn't like full crazy drinking a lot, but it was enough, right? And but really, when I started to understand lineage, I then heard the words, "No, you have healed this for your lineage," and I really took that as a future lineage.
Lineage.
And so now when you're talking about this today, it gets me really, I am excited to even, embark in the journey for other things that can be healed. So that's just so powerful. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
Yep.
hopefully your leaf blower is gone. You can continue
Right?
now.
Let's see if is it a little better? It's
Yeah, it's a
kind of,
way
little, it's a
better.
way better.
We
They
just
must have
wanted
been
to
right
make-
near you.
yeah.
They did the leaf there.
It's the whole driveway.
Cute. We've
Yeah.
got this little tree for the multi-generational healing too, and the
That's
leaves. It's all leaves.
Yeah. And the oh, I think it's gonna be tough. The next item that I have for you is shamanic soul and destiny retrieval to free yourself from the bonds of hopelessness, right? I touched a little bit upon it, where we lose parts of ourselves, we lose, parts of our soul, we disassociate. And also with trauma, what happens is we really lose our destiny, our potential, because we are dealing with all the after effect of the trauma, right? And so with this journey, it's really like my intention is that you can start to reclaim your destiny. You can start to bring back, your soul, right, to yourself. It's a journey of empowerment. It's really a powerful, powerful journey. I love it myself.
Yeah, that sounds great.
Yeah.
And then we've got number 3.
The shamanic art of psychic self-defense. And
Wow.
so, everybody here, I'm sure, you have been in a place or with a person, and then you go home and you just drained,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't even know why,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or you don't feel right. It's because, we live in a world of energy. And when we are not in a place where we can really be in sovereignty, in self authorship, what happens is that our energy field can be, I don't want to use the word attack, but it can, lose its coherence. Not necessarily even because people are doing it to you, but just being in an environment that is, not coherent can make you go into those places where you lose your center, you lose yourself, or you start to take on other people's stuff,
Okay.
right?
Yes.
And so there's a full, shamanic way to really protect your energy field. And I created this journey called Shamanic Harmonic Bioshield, where I'm using the principles of energy healing, shamanic healing, consciousness technology to really teach you the definite way to protect your energy field. And it has alpha brain waves and isochronic tones to really start to entrain your brain to believe that. Because I think everybody here kind of knows, about protecting your energy, protecting your energy. Everybody knows, but either we're not doing it or what we're doing doesn't work, right? And so this is like the definite way to do that, where you're going to be able to actually have a shield installed around you that you can call upon when you need it if you forget. It's really, really powerful.
It's interesting because I did work with people that were basically like, you're an infinite being. Why would you need any shielding?
Hmm.
And I kind of just sat with that for a little while and, really thought, well, I guess it's like a one-off, one thing at a time, right?
Mm.
If I feel, like my energy just drops, there are things to do about that, right? But I've always been kind of like, I don't need to be shielded necessarily, but I do know when I am, I do better.
Mm.
I mean, so it's a
Yes.
real, I mean,
I
I
wanna,
think that's great
It
that,
also
I
depends on
wanna,
if
go ahead.
somebody, sorry, if somebody is willing to accept that they're an infant being.
Yeah.
So
Oh, well,
maybe,
that too,
yeah,
right? Because I
yeah,
don't think people actually acknowledge that they are an infinite being.
I wanna really go with that. So being an infinite being means that, you know, you are sovereign,
yeah,
right?
Mhm.
And if you notice, this is not a like protection, like, oh, I'm afraid
Yeah.
somebody's gonna get me. This is a sovereign way of saying, this is my territory.
yes,
Yeah.
I agree.
This
I,
is my home.
Mm.
mm,
This is my bedroom. Imagine if somebody, comes to your house and then they just go to your bedroom and lift
I know.
the sheets and sit in your bed with their, like, would you allow that?
You're like, ew.
Yes.
Exactly. So why would you allow that on your consciousness or your energy?
That's a great way to put
That's
it.
great.
I,
Yes.
I actually went through the PDF. I think that might be next coming up. Yes. Um, I was like, okay, so there's a PDF at what's like 12 or 14 pages. And I was like, what is this? And I really loved how you put things in the PDF. And the way you explain it, it's just so beautiful.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
that's what this is about. This
Mm.
is, even if we are infinite beings, even if we live in the cosmos, our home is called Earth. Our home
Yeah.
is not called infinite.
Correct. Absolutely.
Right?
Yes.
Exactly. So this is not a journey of fear. This is like, no, I am sovereign. This is my home. This is my place.
Yeah.
This is what I decide to do my energy with my energy. I'm not here just to, let my energy be sucked by, anyone because they're not feeling good today.
Yes.
Mhm.
Because I have things to do.
Right?
I have a life to live. I'm not just, so that's like the spirit that and the intention that went through designing this. And I really hope that you get this, because like this shield is with different energies, star consciousness, the different rays that have specific frequencies and properties, right, that can help you. And the energy of love, the energy of the earth, the abundance of Pachamama, this cornucopia, right, that is here to support us and ground us. Because a lot of, us spiritual people, we're not grounded, we're off into
Yeah.
the ethers. And it's like life is happening here on earth, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right, we talked a little bit about number 4. You want to go on to number 5?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Mm, I love this one. Like my transformational technology is actually love. Love is what I use, and all the other stuff is accessory. Energy healing, plant medicine, like the basis, the core of it is love. And, when I was starting this work, it was like, I really hope that everyone, like people don't go around without ever feeling love, because that's what we crave. That's the thing that we crave. And so many times after, plant medicine journeys, I ask people, what did you discover? And people are like, I discovered that I didn't love myself.
Uh-huh.
Mhm.
And so this item number 5 is a galactic journey into the planet Venus. And the planet Venus is really about awakening and embodying the infinite possibilities that we find, in the consciousness of Venus, which is, the goddess of love, of wisdom, of unity. This is a sacred quest. This is, a it's almost like opening the door for yourself to enter, in the majesty of love, in the discovery of the parts of you that have been seeking, wanting, craving love, and saying, yes, there's a whole planet with love. Because sometimes, the thing about love is we don't even believe that it's possible, right? Or when it's people, it's like, how can this person love me?
Mhm.
Is that possible? So I took away the interpersonal journey of love and made it galactic, so that we can start to reprogram our energy, our brains, to even believe that love is possible and it is abundant and we can have it here. Love heals. It has been proven
Yeah.
scientifically. And, um, when you have a wound that is due to love, like a broken heart, there's actually something called broken heart syndrome,
Mhm.
or broken heart cardiomyopathy, or Takotsubo cardiomyopathy. It was discovered in Japan, where there was a big thing that happened, and a lot of women became widows and they lost their husband, and they were all showing up as if they're having a heart attack. But it
Mhm.
wasn't a heart attack because they didn't have the markers
Yeah.
that you normally have. And it was like, what happened?
Mm.
And then they started to see that their hearts were shaped in a certain way, and it's like their heart were just like giving up, right?
Yeah.
And the only thing they had in common was that they were brokenhearted. So love is serious business.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
think my dad he started really, really pining for my mom, and then he died just
After she
one
passed.
afternoon. Yeah, he died just one afternoon of a massive heart attack, like that. And he was like up walking 3 miles a day and like all these, but he was in this like pining, heartbroken mode, and it was sad to see him like could go transfer to the other side, because that was my second parent. But my gosh, I really felt like he just
He was
died of a
ready.
broken heart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yeah. So
those are really
so
interesting.
this is really important journey for all of us
Yeah, journey
to,
of love.
yeah.
Right. We're making it through, guys.
Yeah. And the next journey is about peace and tranquility to release overwhelm. It actually, we talked about it on the show. One of the participants in the audience asked about overwhelm. One of the things that shows up in trauma is that we have a lot of overwhelm, and that leads to procrastination, even apathy, where we even give up, right? And there's so much mind chatter, we're not able to do anything. And a lot of anxiety and stress. And I was like, if I could create a journey where, when people go on it, they can have a pocket of
Mm.
peace, they can release overwhelm, so that they can then restart their lives with, this expansion, where maybe they start to feel like they can breathe, right? Rest is where healing happens. Even in our normal physiology, it's only when you go to sleep that your body starts the cellular repairs that needs to be done. Or when you work out is when you rest that your muscles recover. So we
Oh,
also
that's
need that.
also, I always thought when you go into those deeper brainwave states, when you rest as well,
Yeah,
that gives your body a chance to recover and
absolutely.
heal. So fabulous. And then there's a companion PDF to that.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Ah, and the last one is what I call From Shame to Self-Love with Alpha Bliss Brainwaves. So this journey,
Ooh.
Sounds
You know
yummy.
what? I'm downloading this package and I'm listening tonight.
so this journey really, I mean, I told everybody here about my journey and with shame and everything. And shame is something that we don't know we have or that is silent and that can prevent us, from loving ourselves, from appreciating ourselves and from, receiving love. And
Mhm.
so, this journey is really about reformatting your brain. The beginning of the journey is you're not going to hear any words. It's just going to be this brain waves kind of working, and then I'm going to come in and with like subliminal affirmations about self-love to reprogram your brain. You don't need headphones, but yeah, it's really about that. Um,
Beautiful.
It sounds beautiful.
Wow. You've outdone this. My
Yeah.
gosh. Um, and then
Oh,
there's
spirit animals.
yeah, well, I wanted the spirit animals from our pre-conversation. I
That's
was kind of
right.
hoping we'd go into that. Um,
yes,
so I asked specifically for that.
yeah.
Um,
So, discover your spirit animal is something that I really invite you, in shamanism and even energy healing. There are different types of guides, right? And some of those guides are, the consciousness of and the properties of certain animals that either we want to embody or that are gifted to us or that we invite, unconsciously or subconsciously. And this journey is a beautiful journey in nature where you are going to actually discover your spirit animal, one of them anyway. And it's really beautiful. And then as you discover, you're going to be able, to go through a conversation, a navigation of interaction with that power animal so that you can receive wisdom, teachings. Um, yeah.
wow. Oh my gosh. Well, there's more.
There keeps coming.
And wait.
And wait,
She said, and
yes,
another
this,
Oh, and
one.
it's 111.
Of course.
yeah.
We have
So
this
this is
repeating number thing.
101 journaling prompts for compassionate
Oh, neat.
self-inquiry and inner healing, right? Because the reason I add journaling here is, not everybody is, we all sense, perceive, and receive information in
Oh,
different ways, right? Some people are very visual, auditory, some people have a knowing, and some people are more, they want to write, they want to really process. And for those who are like that, I have 111 prompts where you can, in a compassionate way, really go into your inner healing. It's um, uh, like at your own pace, right? You can have time to process in between journaling sessions. Sometimes an audio is like I'm guiding you, and it's like, oh, wait, I wanted to stay there, but now I have to go on
right.
here. Yeah.
I know that I asked for a lot, but
No,
I
but these are bonus interviews that I had in the past for those who are interested to listen more about me. They're not really like created, but like great conversations.
Great
Um,
topic. Yeah.
yeah, with like podcasts and the Shift Network Summit.
Thank
Um,
you.
Yeah, that's
yeah, that's it.
fabulous.
Oh,
And it
yay.
is a $97 offer that should be showing up on the button there. Yeah, it does go. I was like, let's just make sure that button works.
Oh,
I'll change that, you guys. But yeah, wow, wow, wow,
That
wow,
is
wow.
very phenomenal.
Mm.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I just speaking with you, I already feel the shifts because of the energy
Mhm.
that you are.
Are.
Yeah,
Yeah, you be this.
yeah,
You
for
know,
sure.
it's very clear. You know, some speakers, just talk it, and there's others that just
Yep,
are it.
very embodied.
And
Yes.
you're so embodied in that way, and it's really beautiful. I mean, somebody said on the feed earlier, and I wanted to say the exact same thing. I could listen to Marie all day.
And that's because she's embodied that
That's
way.
because,
Yeah,
yeah, she makes us really present. Doesn't matter what
yeah,
she says, she just bees it.
yeah. I can
And
gather that.
I just thank you for being it. Um, I feel like sometimes I fall in and out of being. What happened to our camera here?
Hey.
Hey, come back.
hey.
All good. I think we're probably
We
gonna
better
wrap
wrap anyway.
anyway.
There we are.
Oh, we're frozen, but that's okay.
I'm frozen like this. Let me grab my computer.
At least it's a great image of,
Working, right?
Green's image. Sometimes they can be
Yes,
Like,
not cute.
and nobody even saw that face I made.
Thank you
Thank
yeah.
so
you
much,
so much,
everyone.
Marie. Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys for being a part of the feed. And wow, Marie. And if you are looking for the link on the replay, you can find it on YouTube in the caption, and you can find it on our main replay page. It's somewhere on that page.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Wow, what an amazing day. And I'd love to hear some of your takeaways in the chat. I think,
Or you can write us too.
or you can email us
Yes, I
at,
always love hearing those, and we share those. And for anyone that writes in their comments to us, we'll be doing some drawings next week. So to get entered for those drawings, be sure to send us your messages. We want
Yeah.
to know. It's at team at hot hustle. Wait, it's spelled here.
yeah,
.com.
I'll spell it in the chat. just
Team
so-
at hothustle.com. So thank y'all for joining us. Go ahead,
Yeah.
sorry, okay, you go.
No, I'm done. So next week, we'll be back Monday through Thursday, same time, same place. So have a great weekend. Happy listening to all the replays of this week. And Maria, it's just an honor to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me. And it's just been an honor. And it's been great to interact with the audience live. Yeah. Thank you, Lianka.
Thank you.